Tyla Jane is a Brisbane-based pop R&B artist whose single Energy has just passed 16 million streams.
I think it got to 1 million after a day, which was like insane. I was like, I've peaked.
In this week's episode, Tyla talks about how she made a song that she didn't want to drop go viral.
A week before release, I was like, this doesn't sound anything like I had envisioned.
With a few bumps along the way.
And I had to keep going and pretend like nothing was happening. And I looked back at the sound guy and he was like, what the heck?
Tyla's career is blowing up the Brisbane music scene and we're stoked to have her on the show.
Let go of the idea that people are gonna see your vision.
All right, should we do it?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Yeah, we're going.
Straight in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Froe Show. My name is Frank Menken and I'm joined, as always, by my beautiful co-host, Joe Murray.
Hello, Frank.
And we are joined by another beautiful guest, Tyla Jane.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy. Welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
You're, I don't want to be mean, but I'm going to say you're probably our coolest dressed guest that we've had.
Stop.
Yeah.
I always go off Rihanna's like quote, which is like, they might beat me, but they can't beat my outfit. And so I live by that.
That's a good quote.
Nice.
It is.
I go by jeans and a t-shirt rules the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's-
Comfort's key.
Comfort is key. I
Comfort is
literally
key.
just bought new shoes. We're both wearing our new shoes.
Love it. Me too. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Me too. Yes.
Love it. So welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
I'm so
You
excited.
are our first musician, exclusive musician.
Woo.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've
Very
had
exciting.
producers, but not a musician.
We've had a musician that also does fashion design.
Ooh.
Who now?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. First
But yes, you're our first exclusive musician.
Exclusive. Love that.
So do you wanna give your own little bio? What do you do? What do you make?
Sure. Well, what do I do? So I sing. That's my thing. I do like pop R&B music, and I'm an independent artist. Just been kind of doing it for myself for the last year, and things have like slowly picked up. So, yeah, I do music. I produce a little bit of my own stuff. Kind of working through that at the moment, but yeah, writing songs is kind of my thing. I love it.
How did you start writing music then? Like what kind of started that process for you?
I think I've like the cliche answer, like I've always done it, but we were kind of in like the midst of COVID, and I always would write my own music, but like I kind of was like, well, you've got nothing else to do, like let's write it and actually put it out there. So the process is always very different. Like sometimes I will have something I want to talk about, or sometimes I'll just hear a beat and I'll be like, oh, this matches this. But most of the time I like to kind of start with like a beat and then go over the top of that. Whatever that kind of beat makes me feel, I'll kind of write about it, and then it goes from there, and then it's just like hours and hours of just sitting down and going through stuff and writing. But I think writing's my favorite part of the whole process. I love that, like coming up with real quirky things to write about it and put them in almost like comedic ways. I like doing that.
Yeah, because you've done some like meme music as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I love meme music.
Yeah.
I really want to get into it. Like, I don't know if you saw, but on my...
I did. That's
yes,
why I brought it up.
Yeah, I put up like this like country meme beat, and I was like, I really want to do this. Like, I love like Doja Cat. She's like, she's so popular and take a lot of inspo from her, but like she's funny. Like when she sings, her lyrics are funny, and I love that because like sometimes it is so serious.
Yeah.
And I like that, you know, I think guys do it a lot. There's a lot of guys that make music that's really funny. Like there's like Chance the Rapper and people like that have like real funny takes and funny lyrics. But
Dominic Fike is really good at that.
yes.
I've been getting really into Dominic Fike recently, and I listened to his latest album, and I was like laughing out loud every 30 seconds. It's great.
He's amazing. Like, it's funny too, because like no one really, because he's in Euphoria as well. Like no one really knew about him, and then when they realized that was him, like his epic I love is like 3 Nights, obviously.
Yeah.
Such a good one. But yeah, guys do it a lot. Guys always kind of use like lyrics very like quirky and very comedic, and I think like just now, especially with Doja coming through, like girls are starting to do a bit more and not be as serious with their lyrics. So I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're working towards then? You want to do a bit more silly stuff? Because so far, like, you've been doing this like pop R&B style, and that's been quite serious so far.
Yeah.
Not entirely the whole time, I don't think, but
Yeah, exactly. I think I've released so many like different styles of music. Like when I first came out with music, it was like indie pop.
yeah.
Like I came out with My Oh My and like West Side Romance, and they're very like synth pop and not really what I do now. I think I was just kind of playing around with releasing music and working with it and just getting things out, because I think if you don't do anything, you kind of just sit and wait for this perfect moment that's not really happening.
Yeah.
So I put a few songs out, and then Energy, which was the one that took off, funny enough, was more my style. So I think people could see that that's what I like doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why was my most successful one. So that one was, I guess it's not like serious, but at the same time it's not like super goofy. I think it was more of like a self-love hype song. So I think after Energy I was like, right, people can see this is the type of music I want to make. And then came out with Flawless recently, which is kind of on like the same way, and now I'm kind of moving away from like the old like indie pop type stuff and then moving more towards R&B. I think my music's always going to have a serious side to it. Like there's always going to be, you know, you're a serious artist, you got to come out with music that's actually music. But yeah, I think just adding like that comedic side to it will be really interesting. It'll be fun to play with, to see how people react to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Energy, because from what I remember, there was a bit of a lull between when you released it and when it actually became really, really popular.
Yeah.
What was that process like?
Also, how many streams does it have as of right now? Do you know off the top of your head?
13 million on Spotify, and I think it just hit 5 million on Apple Music, which
That's
is
absurd.
wild,
Insane.
crazy.
Have you tried before we actually get into that question, have you tried quantifying those numbers in your head? Like, have you realized how many people that is?
Not really. Like, Zach, my boyfriend, for people listening, he says that to me all the time. He's like, do you realize how many people, he like did a number on his phone. It was like 1 in every 4 people in Australia have listened to it, which when I heard that, I was like, that is wild.
Yeah.
But not really. I think the way I kind of go like, wow, people listening to my music is when people comment on my stuff.
Yeah.
Like people are actually taking the time or even DMing me and telling me how they felt listening to the music. That's why I go, wow, people are listening to it. Like they're hearing it and they love it. So it's pretty cool to think about. But answering your question, it actually was a really funny process, because the week before I released it, you came to the release party show as well. That week, I was so over it. Like, I didn't even want to drop it.
Wow.
I was like, the whole process was just, nothing went to plan. Like, just even
in
like,
what way?
Yeah.
like I did and this happens all the time, so no like beef to the people working on it, but sometimes when you work with certain songs, like you have certain producers that it just doesn't go well. Like sometimes you're not on the same path, right? And that's where you got to kind of move. And I had this deadline because I had a show and I needed to put it out. And like a week before, I got like a mix back, and I was like, this is not it. Like this doesn't sound anything like I had envisioned, which is, you know, the combined of different things. But so a week before release, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to figure this out, right? And then so I scrambled and I did a few things, and finally ended up with this guy that was epic. And then he sent me back the final draft, and I put it on TikTok like a couple days before my headline show for it. And that's when that video popped off.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally was so close to not releasing this song. Like I was considering doing the headlining show and just being like, sorry guys, I'm actually not dropping this song, but like thanks for coming. And yeah, so I wanted to completely drop it, and then I posted it on TikTok. And bear in mind, my TikTok had never done well.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I had views for other things. Like my highest one might have been like 10K on like something else. And then I posted it, and I actually reposted it. Like I posted the first one of the exact same video, and it didn't do well.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it was like 12 o'clock at night, and I posted it, and I was like, whatever, we'll see if it does well. And then I woke up and I hopped on my Instagram, and I had like thousands of followers, and I was like, what is this? Whoa. I was like, this seems I was like, what in the world? And they didn't even click to me like TikTok, so I didn't even go and check TikTok,
right?
Because I was like I already posted that video. I just reposted it with someone's like comment, like drop the song. Yeah. And I was like, oh, like why? I didn't even do anything on Instagram. Like this is weird. Like the song's not out. And then maybe like 30 minutes later, I went on TikTok and it was just like slammed. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and it took a while. Like I think it got to 1 million after a day, which was like insane. I was like, I've peaked. This is
on
it.
TikTok?
On TikTok, yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm retiring now. Like, that's it. We're never going to get more than this. And so I quickly scrambled and put like a pre-save out and got some pre-saves through. And then we dropped the song a week later and it did great. Like more than anything of my other songs had done, but it wasn't like an instant bam, you hit 1 million. Like it was like a gradual build and build and build, and it never like dropped. It just kind of kept going up.
Right.
And then we got to 1 million after like a couple weeks, and which was epic. And I just kind of like left it. I didn't really look at it. I kind of went and worked on my own stuff. And bear in mind, I was working like full time as well. So I was like, that's epic. It hit 1 mil. Like, this is so cool. And then, like you said, like it just kind of kept growing. And 6 months later, it was like put on its like first like Spotify playlist. Right. And it just kind of like hit a point where then it just went, whew.
Yeah.
And went really fast. So,
do you know what that first Spotify playlist was that it was on?
Yeah, Viral Hits.
Oh
wow.
Yeah, which was really...
So was that directly because of the TikTok then, or?
I think so, because there was like a trend going with my song that like girls were doing like their morning routines to it.
That's cute.
So like they were like waking up and videoing like them eating breakfast and this stuff, and it was like a very wholesome trend.
That's lovely.
Like, I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
And you didn't have anything to do with that starting?
No.
Do you know what the first one was that did that?
Yeah, there was, when you like click it, it's like one of the first, like click the sound, it's one of the first ones to come up. I think her name's like Amanda.
Right.
And she's pretty popular herself, so she must have heard it from somewhere. But yeah, and it just was like 30,000 videos of like people doing this like morning routine, or it was like them doing their self-care, which was like, I loved it because it was like, that's what the song was about. Like exactly what I wrote it for was what people were using it as, and I loved that. So it was so cool that this trend kind of came from it. And then from that, I think that's when it kind of got into that Viral Hits playlist, because it was trending on TikTok, the sound, which I didn't know till like after. So, which is really funny. So it was trending and I had no clue.
So how long between you actually dropping the song and you realizing that it was trending on TikTok?
Probably like, I would say it took 6 months for me to be like, this is actually doing really well. But I think like 3 months into it, I was like, oh, people are doing stuff to it. This is cool. Like it's doing great. And like it hit 1 million. So I kind of been like, this is great. Like I didn't really have to go into much detail about it. I was just kind of thinking about what I was going to do next and like moving forward while still trying to like take it all in. And then, but I would say 6 months into it, I was like, oh, this is doing good. Like
it's going.
Yep, exactly. So 6 months. It takes time. It takes time. That's the same with the song I just released as well. Like you can kind of look at it and be like, wow, Energy's got 3 mil and this has 200K, like what's wrong? But then you just got to sit back and be like, it's going to have its moment. Yeah. It just needs one viral moment, and that's it. That's all it takes. That's all it took for me with Energy, was like one viral song, and then went through,
So your intention with Energy was that like self-care kind of routine.
Yeah.
What was your intention then with Flawless? What was the intention going into that?
Well, I think like the difference between them, like Energy I kind of wrote as like a hype song to myself, but in like in a self-care way, where it wasn't like, you know, we have like the Megan Thee Stallion that's like, I'm a baddie, like that
Yeah.
type of thing. Mine was more of like a subtle, like, you're doing good. Like, you're working on yourself and that's all you need to do.
Do you think that played a really big part in it resonating more with people?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think, and a lot of people said this to me, like it wasn't a very in-your-face song that you felt like you had to be this like crazy, insane it girl. Like it was just like you're working on yourself and that's kind of all you need to be doing. And like no matter where you're at, like I think one of the lyrics is last year was a mess, but I'm growing up, like thanking God that I'm so blessed. So I think people were like, okay, it's been a rough time. And also it was COVID.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people resonated with that because, you know, they spent a year locked in their room, you know, probably feeling really bad about themselves. And I think this song was just a bit of like, no, whatever you're doing is good. As long as you're working on yourself and you're moving forward, then you're fine.
Yeah. So it's like very much the perfect storm of situation.
Yeah.
What you wrote it for, and then people really seeing and understanding that intention and then latching onto it themselves.
Exactly. And I think like being very like body positive and like loving yourself is very in at the moment. And I hope it stays, but I think like, and I never like wrote the song being like, this is in at the moment, but like, I think it just kind of fell in place that, that in the internet was becoming very big, was talking about self-love and actually looking after yourself and putting you first. And then the song came out kind of all went at the same time. So I think there's a lot of things that went into this song being successful. I don't think I could really pin it. Like I could say, yeah, the viral video, you know, but I think the fact that the song actually resonated in a time where people wanted to feel good about themselves is why it kind of took off.
Right. Is that something that you're intentional about, that body, like going towards that body positivity movement and really like making sure that people feel valued and loved through your music?
Yeah, 100%. Like whether that is about body, like being body positive, I think I always want my music to make people feel good regardless of what they're feeling. And you know, that's like with Flawless wasn't like a body positive song, but it was another like feel good song, like, you know, you are that girl, like, you know. So I think with all my music I don't like sit there and go, okay, I have this one song, now I have to be like this you know, figure that's being like, we're super positive, you know. But when I sit down and write my music, I do go, okay, cool, like this is what I want to share, and I want to share like a real aspect of this, you know. So that was your intention with Energy, and bringing it back, because we kind of sidetracked a little bit, but what was the intention for Flawless then when you were writing it? I think for Flawless, I just wanted to write like a song that made me like feel good. Like I always write like, what do I want to hear? You know, and I was kind of feeling like in a baddie mood. I was like, let's write something like, you know, that's like, I think I was driving in my car and I heard the beat and I just was like, I'm flawless, and by that I mean I'm perfectly fly, and I was like, ooh, we have something, like, let's do it, you know. And then I kind of wanted to start working on not rapping, like I don't rap, but like wanted to kind of like suss out, it's called like a slow R&B rap, that's what it is. So I just wanted to like suss out different things and try that. So I started off with that image of those couple lines and then just kind of worked off it. So I think it was also like, yes, it was about being positive and loving yourself, but then it was like having that like kind of like sassy side to it that I wanted to kind of write a little bit more about.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't say that you go into a song being like, I want it to have this feeling, or I want it to have this intention. It's more like you start writing it and then you kind of realize what the intention is. And then you build off of that to complete the song.
100%. Like I just wrote a song the other day, and what it started off being was nothing what it turned out being, like the meaning. Like I think sometimes you can just come up with ideas, and the more you build on it, you're like, ooh, it could be this. Like I could turn it into this, or it could just take one lyric where you go, oh my gosh, this whole song could be about this type of feeling, you know? So I never like sit down and go, this is what I'm doing today. I think if maybe I was writing like a sad song or something like that, I would probably go and
get into that headspace.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'd probably think about a specific thing, but because I'm not doing that, I kind of just sit and go, what do I want to write about?
Yeah.
Or like, and I go like verse by verse as well. Like I'll sit down and work through things and I'll be like, what'd be funny to talk about? You know, I kind of think of like what's interesting. Like in the song I am writing, about to put out, I talk about like Jack Harlow in it.
Oh,
because
Is that all like about the drama that's currently happening or just Jack Harlow in general?
No, just Jack Harlow in general, because I just think he has so much confidence and it's like, it's very entertaining to watch.
Right.
And so, I just was like, and he was like kind of going viral too because of that, he just had so much confidence, and I was like, ooh, I want to write something like, let's write a verse about that, like little things like that where you're just gonna go, ooh, that'd be fun. Let's try this. Yeah.
So, go. No,
like, do you have a specific process for writing then? It sounds like you start just about from front to back. Is that?
Yeah.
Would you say that's how it works with every song, or is it all kind of organic?
I think I like to hear a beat first.
Yeah.
Like I like to kind of listen to something and go, okay, what vibe does this have? And then I'll build off that. But sometimes like I have a notes file where I have like a bunch of one-liners of like titles of songs, or like one of like the notes in my phone is like 10-pack of chicken nuggets, like just literally like stuff like that where I'm like, I want to put that in a song. Like I just have little things, and then I'll listen to a beat and I'll be like, ooh, what feeling do I get from listening to this beat? And then I'll kind of write on top of that. I think a lot of people start with lyrics first, and sometimes I do, but mostly I'll hear something and then work from there.
Yeah.
And I like to do it like when I'm there. Like I will write the song. Like Energy, I wrote it in 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And I know like a lot of people like, you'll be like, wow, 10 minutes. But seriously, like sometimes you just sit down and feel something and then you get it out. Doesn't mean the song was made in 10 minutes, but all the lyrics, I like to sit down and just kind of get it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that makes the most cohesive kind of feeling within a song as well.
Yeah.
The reason that I reached out to you in the first place is because what I like to do with a lot of like the creative people that I know is like, I'll just check in on them like every 6 months. And I'll be like, I wonder what they're up to.
What's happening?
And so it's like, because, you know, there's so many of them now. And like, I feel like we should mention at this point that we went to high school together.
Yes, we did.
Tyler was a grade above Joe and I. We haven't said at any point what high school we went to.
Yeah.
But what I find really interesting is how many creative people were there. So I always I'm like, okay, well, I wonder what they're up to, and I wonder what they're up to. But so I did my like 6-month check-in on a couple of people, and I was like, I wonder how Tyler's Spotify's doing. And then I saw, didn't even realize that you'd released more stuff since My Oh My. And I was like, oh cool. And then I saw Energy, and I was like, oh cool.
Yeah, whoa.
And then I said to Joe, I was like, well, you know, I'm you know, this is really, really cool. I really want to get Tyler on. But I don't understand why there isn't an album yet. And then what did you say?
Well, I said, like releasing an album, there's not as much like reason behind releasing an album these days.
Yeah.
It's hard to get an album noticed compared to singles.
Yeah.
And so I think I said like while you're starting or whatever, it's generally easiest to sort of find your sound, get singles out, get noticed, and then once you're more like secure and like known, then start release albums.
Yeah. It's a like complete business move.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can release albums because a lot of albums have a meaning behind it. Like a lot of people make albums because they have a whole thing they want to explain.
Yeah.
But like for me as a independent artist, like just coming up, it's a business move to do singles because I think, like you said, you can kind of play around with what people like and what people don't like. And not that if people don't like a song, I go, I'm never writing that again because they write what I want. But I think it just gives you also money. It's like you wouldn't think so, but it costs a lot to do music. Like there's just so much involved with it that
people forget how much creating anything costs.
Money, so much money. Oh my goodness. Like exactly.
For audio, I was gesturing 100%. At all the cameras and the set and the mics and the stuff.
Literally, when you did that, I totally forgot there was cameras. So when I turned, I was like, whoa. I totally forgot. 100% true. Like there was one point I was working like 3 jobs including music.
Yeah.
And that's just because, you know, you gotta pay for stuff. Things aren't cheap.
Yeah.
And especially when, which you guys probably can agree with doing like a podcast, is that you have to start from nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you have like mentors and a whole bunch of people being like, yeah, like I never had anyone being like, come to the studio, do this and that. Like, you seriously have to sit down and go, I need to start from rock bottom. Where do I go?
Yeah.
And then the more you start getting, the more you start realizing, okay, I need to get this as well, and I need to do this, and the costs kind of start weighing up. And
but then on the flip side of that, you get to the point where it's like you go past the tipping point, and you're like, I need all the things. I need to get that and that, and I need like this awesome mic, and I need like the best studio, and I need like the best producer in Brisbane, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we don't need all of that.
You
stuff.
need to chill.
Yeah. Do you feel like you had that similar experience? Because we definitely did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think yes and no, because the way like I write music is so simple.
Yeah.
And like my whole process has been really simple, and it was simple because I started in COVID. So it had to be simple. Like, I couldn't go to studios, I couldn't meet people. I had to find a way to make it really simple.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped me when it became successful, was because I had something so simple that worked, so I could kind of build off that. But yes, you go through that stage where, what if I had a better mic? Will my songs be better? What if I have this and that? Like, what if I go to a studio? What if I pay all this money to go here and do this? And yeah, I think you do go through that stage where you just kind of go, okay, chill. Like, it's going to be good if it's good.
Did you ever find something like that when you were doing live performances as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I like things like in-ears, and when I first started, the show you came to, Joe came to my first headline show for Energy, but the shows I did before then I had done by myself. I never had anyone else on stage with me.
Yeah, right.
So when I do shows now, I now perform with my amazing bandmate Natalie, and she is like a one-man band. She can play everything. But when I first started, it was literally me with like my phone, a legit phone on stage plugged in. I don't even know what they call it, a DI or something like that. And I would plug it in, and I would literally have it on the ground.
Wow.
And it was so embarrassing. But
you just go, backing track 1?
no, I'm not even kidding. Like,
The
on
voice
one of
pack
my
comes over the speakers. Backing track 1.
No, it happened. It happened.
no.
I'm not even kidding. Oh my gosh, I have to tell this story. Worst experience of my life. I had my very first show at the Triffid. Have you guys heard of there?
Yep.
Yeah, and I was opening up for this group called, oh my gosh, what's their name? Hatchie?
Yeah.
I think that's how they pronounce it, but they're pretty big
Yep.
Australian
I
artists.
have heard of them.
Yes. And it was my first gig ever, and I was opening up for them, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I had my phone, and I had like, so sometimes with beats, like sometimes you can work with them, and sometimes you just buy them, and sometimes when you're sampling stuff, they have
The like tag at the start.
yeah, it's like, I don't know, like Thai beats, like it goes over, right? And I had done it, and then sometimes you just have multiple different stuff you're working with, and I double checked it, I swear, 1,000,000 times. I rehearsed with it, and for some reason, I put the wrong one in, and I was singing West Side Romance, and it was around the chorus, and all you hear is Thai beats, and it replays itself the whole song, and I had to keep going and pretend like nothing was happening, and I looked back at the sound guy, and he was like, what the heck? It was so embarrassing. It really, I think that is in my nightmares. It was so bad. My first show too, but
Hey, at least you kept going.
Yeah.
I know, I just had to,
The show must go on.
I was trying not to laugh too, so I was like kind of giggling as I was doing this song. So yeah, it was very awkward, but you know, you have to have awkward shows.
Yes.
So I never did that ever again.
You
I
learned your
always
lesson, clearly.
double make sure. But yeah, it used to just be like me on the stage, and like when people wanted like encores, I'd run back on and like scroll through my phone and be like, sorry guys, give me a second. And I'd find a song. But that was also really good because I got to learn how to be on stage by myself.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to like perfect my stagecraft and be entertaining by myself. So that was a really good positive. It made me work a little bit more on how to be a performer and how to talk to an audience, and so that was really good. But yeah, now even with doing live settings, like you said, I think there's a point where you're just like, if I just have this, if I just have if I have a drummer, if I have a piano, if I bring this person, if I get in-ears, if I do this and that, and then you just kind of be like, chill. Like, it's fine.
You're doing fine.
It's okay. If the music's good, it's good. I mean, I'm really glad I brought someone on stage with me, because just having someone else is very calming. Yeah. But I really do want to work on my live shows. I haven't done them ever since like Energy came out. I opened up for Psycho. Have you heard of Psycho before? She's great.
Oh wait, actually, yes, I have.
Yeah,
Where's she from?
She's got like a real big. She's really huge on like Triple J.
Yeah.
She's opening up for Tame
I
Impala.
think she is Brisbane, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she came out of VI.
Ah,
that's how I know the name.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, she's great, and she's very young, and so I opened up for her. That was like the last show I've done in a while, so I'm keen to do more live shows. Yeah.
You mentioned before that you worked on your stage presence. Was that like you in your like living room practicing?
In my garage. Literally.
Tell that story.
So I would just set up my speakers, and I would get my like mic stand, and I would just practice the sets for like, I'm lying. I was going to say I practiced them for hours. I didn't. It'd be like the night before, and I'd be like, let's go. But no, I would sit there, and like the day before, just the whole day would just be, I'd even put a mirror in front of me just to watch myself. Yeah. Just to be like, how does this look? Like,
what was your first big thing of like, oh, that has to change?
I think the first gig I did, I think you just realize I need to be able to speak really naturally.
Right.
Like, I think when you get up there, you think it's just going to be about me singing, and you realize it's really not. Like, to be a good performer, you have to be able to engage with people when the song's done.
Yeah,
like, you have to be able to talk and be funny. You don't have to be funny, but like, it just helps to be able to make everyone feel good. And then also, like, just like the technical side was when I do gigs, I like to dance, I like to get into it. So I had to learn to, be able to sing really well and dance as well. So kind of technically work on breath work and that type of stuff. And obviously your first couple of gigs, you're so nervous you can't really breathe anyway, so everything sounds bad. But just like the technical side of being able to dance and move, and then also being able to, run a show while you're not singing and using your talent.
I think that's something that Joe and I realized when we did the live show here.
Yeah.
Was we didn't really pay any mind to the talking before the show starts. Yeah. But I think that kind of, we both got up there and we're like, oh right, there's people. Yeah. And we have to talk to them before the actual show starts.
And the people are looking at you.
Yeah.
And it's freaky.
Yeah. And like, we've all done a little bit of theatre stuff before. But it's so different when it's you. Like when it's a character, it's like, okay, there's a clear disconnect between me and you. Yeah. Like there is a fourth wall there. Yeah. But then when it's, for you performing and for us doing a live show, it's just, there is no fourth wall. It's you and it's the audience, and you can interact back and forth, and there's no barrier. And I think that was kind of a really big shock for us. Oh yeah.
You just kind of face that way and don't watch them.
Yeah. Exactly. The whole live show we were just like this.
I know. And it's like those things where you're there and you're like, wow, I really need to work that out. Like, I literally you can just sit there and go, I hid from the audience. Yeah. That's how you can feel. Like you just, you get in your own little zone. And it's so true what you said before, like even the talking beforehand. Like I remember my first couple shows walking up on stage, and because I opened or I did little things, like no one's listening to you. So even when you're talking, people are talking over you. And when you rehearse, no one's doing that. Like you rehearse expecting people to look at you. Yeah. And then sometimes it can be very distracting when you can literally hear millions of conversations happening. Like I've done shows where I'll be singing and I could literally tell you what someone in front of me was talking about. And it's very distracting. Sometimes you just have to be like, okay, okay.
Woohoo.
Not everyone cares.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But
It's good for the ego though.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like also kind of like what you said is, you know, in school people were coming to watch you, but also they're coming to watch everyone else.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when people come to watch you guys on your podcast, you know they're coming to hear you. Like,
Yeah.
that's the main event. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it is a bit freaky, but also it's the funnest experience. Like, I think I get the most, it's so rewarding doing live shows. That's one of my favorite parts is getting to hear people sing to things. And I think you guys could probably agree that when you were there, even just hearing like the applause afterwards was like, cool.
Yeah.
People are
Well,
watching.
it's easy to see the number and go, yeah, cool,
Yeah.
people are listening. But it's completely different. Even if it's like so much smaller physically than the number on the screen, but it feels so much larger because it's like, wow, like they're here.
Yeah.
And they're they're actively paying attention. I think that was the
exactly.
big thing that, you know, I'm sure you felt as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why I haven't really been able to comprehend the numbers with energy because I haven't done live performances for a while. So, like, it's so cool to hear like 3 million, but then that's just like a number on a screen.
Yeah.
Like, when you go do live, like you said, you see people and you're like, wow, people care. Like, they rocked up, you know.
Imagine performing to 13 million people.
Yeah.
Be epic. I love it. I thrive. Like, the times where I perform the best is when I'm stressed.
Right.
Like, that's when I feel like I perform my best, like when I feel pressure. Like, if you put me in front of 5 people, you're going to hear the worst show ever. Because I'd be like, this is just...
Too chill.
Yeah, it's so weird. But, yeah, hopefully one day we get to perform to some big amounts of people.
I'm sure it'll happen.
Suncorp.
Fingers crossed.
Do you have other than the phone story, do you have a live show that was worse than that? What's your worst live experience?
Oh, that's probably honestly the most embarrassing, that one, because I could just see everyone's face going like, oh, you messed up. Like, or like you just like copied someone's song or something. That's what it felt like. I thought people were thinking that it wasn't my song.
Right.
That was probably the most embarrassing. But like you obviously have your... like, I think everyone, you have stuff on stage where I forget lyrics all the time and I'll just make up some random ass stuff or... Yeah, exactly. Or like sometimes you can't hear yourself. I think the show you came to, there was a few moments where we couldn't hear ourselves. So it's like you're just kind of sitting there
just
like,
winging it.
what's happening? But no, I think I've got pretty good at covering up. The first show, I think that was such an initial shock that I just went and reworked everything.
Yeah.
So that like you cover your bases.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the worst one. First one was worse. I don't think I could get worse than that.
Yeah.
Touch wood. No, I probably can. I probably can get worse.
If you try really hard, I'm sure you can.
I'll probably fall or do something clumsy on
like
stage.
that Travis Scott clip where he's like, he just walks off the edge.
auto-tune?
Or like auto-tune too. Goes down. It's so funny. Or like people falling off. Or
I love that meme so much.
that was really
so
funny.
good.
Yeah, it can get really worse.
In terms of like your writing and writing music, like, do you feel like there's been a specific moment in your life that has been kind of a catalyst that has pushed you towards what and how you're creating?
No, I think I've always been me. Like, I know that sounds like interesting, but like I've always had a very strong sense of self.
Yeah.
I think I was homeschooled
for
a long time. A lot of people don't know that, I think a lot of people can be like, wow, that's really weird. But for me, in like just the family I grew up in and the way we did it was super beneficial for me. I feel like I always had a very strong self-awareness.
Yeah.
And so, no, I don't think there was a specific moment. I think like my songs, especially now, like after Energy and everything, they're really me. Like I feel like that is me. I think it took some time to figure out how you like writing, but I think I've always just kind of like known myself and what I want to write and what I want to do. So not really. I think it's just I finally did it. Yeah. It's like you finally just go, yeah, okay, now I'm going to do it. And then you do it. Yeah. So yeah, probably
That's
not.
the best feeling.
Was there something that pushed you to do that? Was there something that happened that you were like, okay, no, I have to do it?
Probably just boredom. Like, yeah, like like I said, I did in the midst of COVID. So when I put my first song out, My Oh My, was during that like 4-month lockdown where everyone had to stay home. And I had already no, I hadn't. Actually, I was there and I was like, I'm going to order a mic online, like did all this stuff. And I just recorded in the closet.
Yeah.
I just soundproofed my own stuff. And then I've never been to a studio either. Funny enough, I've never worked with anyone ever in person.
Oh,
wow.
With my music. Even
interesting.
When I sent it off to do mixing, a lot of people don't know this, but Spotify has a website called Sound Better, and they have a lot of credited producers that work with labels. They you have to have credits to work on there. And they have a lot of producers and songwriters and all this type of stuff. I just worked with the producers, mixers, and I would send my beat and my song and they would mix it for me. Because I tried mixing, listening to your voice for hours was not for me.
Yeah.
There's only a certain amount of time you can hear yourself talk.
Yeah,
so
that's why Joe makes me edit the podcast.
Yes.
I can listen to it. I can't watch it though.
Yeah,
That's
right.
why.
Yeah.
I'm very used to hearing my own and your voice now.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's very cringe. That's like TikTok. When I hear myself, I'm like, you're so cringe, but whatever. It's okay, we'll post it. But yeah, so I would just send it off to people and we'd work on it back and forth, and that's how all my songs have been done so far.
Right.
So I've never worked with anyone in the studio or even in person, or never even done a song with anyone else yet. So yeah. Actually, that's a lie. I saw one person, her name's the letter L, and I went into she has a home studio. I did some stuff with her. She helped me out with some harmonies on Energy, actually. But apart from that, never actually sat and done a whole song with someone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is really what I want to do, because it's kind of lonely doing it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of myself, to be honest. I'm getting boring.
When you sent off the your song and the beat, did they also not coach you but help you produce your vocals as well, or was it just the mixing?
No, just mixing.
Yeah, right.
So all harmonies, vocals, all that type of stuff I have to have ready.
Yeah.
You can there's people on there where you can send stuff and they can go back and forth. But I just figured if I do it myself, it's going to be perfect to me.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time kind of going through doing ad-libs and all that type of stuff. And then, I send it off to them and they just mix it. Yeah. They just do all the different effects and, volumes and stuff like that, and then send it back. So that's been the most, like I said, it's a very simple routine, and it's been very cost effective. It's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's allowed me to do a lot.
So you're what, 2 years, almost 2 years down now?
Yes. Yeah.
What's been the hardest realization, or even the hardest moment of those 2 years so far?
Probably the last 6 months, because it's kind of what I touched on before, it's really hard to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing, and I've had so many conversations about this, is just not really being realized. Not realized, not being seen.
Right.
I've had so many conversations with labels and stuff like that. I've turned down a lot of label deals and a lot of this and that. And even when it comes to management, I think that's been the hardest thing, is realizing I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
There's only so much I can get my music out there. I've done really good so far, but there is a point in this type of industry where you do need to have other people help you move forward. That's how you kind of, especially music, when it comes to management and all that. But yeah, I think that's just kind of the hardest part, is going the realization of needing a team, and that's not really the easiest thing to find, or even having people wanting to work with you has been, I think, hard. It's been good though. There's always positives and negatives. There's the side where it goes, there is so much I've done by myself, which is, I think it's really good to realize that. But yeah, I think
13 million alone is not a small feat.
It is really crazy, and there's a lot of luck with that, but then also not a lot of luck. Like there's so much work put into it, which you guys would know, being creative. Like people just don't understand how much work goes into these things, like the hours of coming home from doing 2 jobs, and then like I always tell people, if you're not willing to work 3 jobs and come home and spend the rest of your night working on what you want to do, I don't think it's what you want to do. Yeah. Because there's a lot of time you have to fill and a lot of stuff you have to rework and try and figure out yourself. And which we kind of talked about when I was listening to Mr. Beast podcast. Yeah. He was really great at explaining that, because he just like goes on about he spent 10 years not being popular. You have to be obsessive. Yeah. What was it? It was, you have to be addictive, obsessive, and disciplined. Yeah, that exactly. And I think I've like, that sounds really sad. It's not sad, but I love my friends. But I've lost a lot of like social time as well. Oh yeah, like absolutely. There's just a lot of stuff you have to give up to. But then that's the thing as well. Like people don't realize that even happens. Yeah. They just see the end product and they go, oh wow, like you've made it, Yeah. But they don't see that you've, gotten rid of XYZ to make the time to get there. Like Joe and I have talked about this a lot, but the stuff that we sacrifice to do this every week and to have this done every week, and like for me as well, making the movies every day, like the time that goes into that, like that time has to come from somewhere, Exactly. And I still work a job and I do this and I do other projects, and you still work a job and do this and do other projects. Like, it's exactly what you said. If you're not willing to take that time at the end of the day after you get home and you're exhausted and you're wrecked. Exactly. And you're still going to do it because that's just, you cannot imagine doing anything else with your life. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's 100% true. Like you have to be willing to do everything you can imagine to get something done, and also like be happy that if it's not successful. Yeah. Like the amount of videos I put out and the amount of songs I've written that haven't seen the light of day, that have seen the light of day and didn't do anything. Yeah. Like you have to be okay with failing every single day and just waiting for that one moment to happen. And then also when that moment happens, you got to be prepared to back it up. Like you got to be prepared to, if something goes well, to always back everything up and have that ethic to take you further. Yeah. I think that's something that we talked about with the podcast as well. We were like, if the podcast took off at episode 10 or 20 or even 50, like, A, we would have gotten bored immediately, and B, it wouldn't have been a good show. Yeah. And so, it takes time to iterate to get to a point where people even want to be involved with it and want to listen and want to watch and want to take part in your content. And so, like, it's exactly what you said. Like, you have to back it up and you have to have a backlog for people to find and then go, oh, cool, they have 5, 6, 7, 20, 40, 50 other things for me to go and check out now. And that's how they get hooked on the next thing. Like, I remember seeing a while ago that it takes 7 touch points for someone to become invested. Yeah. Like, it takes 7 separate things for them to be like, okay, I want to see the next thing that this person puts out. Interesting. Whatever that is. Like, that could be, for you, it could be, 3 songs, 2 Instagram posts, 2 TikToks. Yeah. And then that could be it. That could be the 7 touch points for them. And so that's all it takes. But if you only have the one thing and that's what's taken off and you don't have anything to back that up, then it's like, okay, that's cool, I guess. Yeah, and that's why there's like, and it's really interesting. I've had so many conversations with labels about this actually, where they will always book meetings with like people that have had a viral hit and they want to talk first, because they just said the amount of people that have randomly got successful and have nothing to back it with, like have no... I mean, I'm talking in music, there could be so many different avenues, but like they have no songs ready to go afterwards. They have no idea how they got successful, like all these things. And then they just have those meetings and then go, yeah, okay, well, these people are random success. Who cares? Like, that sounds really bad, but that's what they do, because they do realize that there's some people that just got a random success and they have nothing to back it. Yeah. Like they don't, like, I think worth ethic is just huge, to just go, okay, wow, they've done all this, like for you guys, like so many episodes where none of them might have taken off, but you know, in 5 years time or in 2 years time, you might have something take off and they go, wow, they did all this when nothing was
That's exactly
when
it.
nothing was hitting.
Yeah.
And I think people see that like time, money and effort.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're a creative, I think, you know, I can watch you guys and be like, yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Like I can see that there's so much work that goes into it.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really hard thing, is that as a creative, like you do put yourself out there to like fail every day.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is like, oh damn.
Yeah.
But
it's scary.
Yeah.
It is.
It's scary to fail every day.
It is. I think for me with my TikToks as well, they were so cringe that I like the fear, the fear of like my friends seeing it was like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah.
I don't care who else saw it, but if someone, still to this day, if I have like friends that are like, oh, I saw this, I'm like, no, you didn't.
No.
You didn't. No, you didn't. Don't tell me. Don't tell me you didn't see that. I'm like, I black it out. Don't talk about it. But yeah, it is. Being creative's the funnest thing in the world, but there's a lot of work, hey?
I think that was the moment that I realized I was really proud of this show, was when someone was like, oh, I listened to an episode of your podcast. And my first reaction wasn't, oh, which one? It was, oh, that's sick.
Yeah. Yes, there's so many that you're like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is really epic. I'm just waiting for your viral moment, guys.
It's coming.
It's coming. We
It's
feel
coming.
it.
I'm very excited.
We feel it in our jellies.
It will. Joe Rogan even said that he lost money for the first 5 years of his podcast.
Yeah.
And he was somebody. Like, he did radio shows and stuff beforehand. He lost 5 years, lost money on a podcast. So
That's exactly it. It's building a
5
backlog.
years, people, and you're going to be big.
I mean, that was a big part of us starting the show in the first place, though, was being able to document that process as well. And being able to document us growing as creative individuals and as personalities. Like, you look at episode 1, Joe and Frank, and it's like, wow. And you look at now, and it's very clear now that it's like it's not like it's put on, but it's a much more curated personality.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting in comparison to the first episode. Not to say that that's fake in any way. Yeah. But it's just...
Yes.
It's just... Different, yeah.
Yes. I have so much to talk about in that area. Like, and I get this all the time with my TikToks as well. Like, I have so many people, like, when I do TikToks, and it's exactly what you said. Like, people will be like, you're not like that in person? And I'm like, well, it is really weird to be in front of a camera and to, like, talk and do stuff. And like you said, it's not fake. Yeah. That's just what comes out when you're in front of a camera. Like, I get people all the time on my TikToks being like, are you American? Why? Like, I thought you're Australian, like all this stuff, or being like, you're so hype. And I'm like, well, that's just what comes out. It's not fake at all. It's just, you know, and I think, like you said, as time, you just go, you look back and you're like, ooh. Ooh. I'm like, that person was so invested. But I also think that you change.
Yeah, you grow into that personality, I think. And like, that's something that I struggled with a lot making my movies every day. Is like, when I started, I would edit them and I'd be like, this doesn't feel like me. Like, like I'm clearly putting something on, and it's only like from probably 40 or 50 that I'm like, okay, now it feels like me. And I've had people being like, yeah, your movies just feel like I'm hanging out with you. And it's like, yes. That's exactly exactly what I want.
It takes time.
It takes time and it takes iterations, and it takes like trying things out and being like, why do I feel weird doing this one thing?
Yeah,
you know?
I'm still at that point. Like, I think it's with TikTok. It's because I'm trying to do so many different. I think, well, you have to, as a singer, you have to do every single social platform. Yeah. That as an artist, like as my songwriting, I feel like I've hit my point where I'm like, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I know my voice, but in terms of, and like Instagram as well, same. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I kind of got my stuff, but when it comes to TikTok, like, it's still trying to figure out that, because I'm not an influencer. That's not what I am. Like, I don't make TikToks as a living, but like, it's still trying to find that like balance of who do you want to come across as, and like, how can you be more natural in and show like vulnerability and all this stuff while also like promoting your stuff. That's what is like super big on what I'm trying to work with TikTok right now, is trying to find that like like you said, for people to watch it and go like, yeah, that is Tyla.
Yeah.
That's just hanging out with her. I mean, my TikToks are a side that is me. Like, I'm just very hyped on my TikToks.
Yeah.
So that definitely is a side. Like, if I was talking to a girl and I was hyping her up, I'd be exactly like what I am in my videos. But like also trying to find that balance of like when I'm not like that, how can I portray that across, which is hard.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out still.
It takes time.
Yeah,
It does.
Time and iterations.
It does.
Do you have one more question? Or do you want to?
No, I was looking at the time. We might.
So was I.
Yeah, we might need to start wrapping up here.
Yeah. Do you
like
want to
it's
ask your
like-
last
Sure.
question? Well, second last, I guess.
Yeah. Was there anything in the show that you wish we had talked about, or a story you wish you could have told, or something you were expecting when you
Oh.
came here?
No, I had like no expectations because this is my first podcast, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
So I just like had no expectations. But
Is there anything you wish we'd brought up?
but like nothing I wish you brought up. No, I think probably not. I mean, you could. No.
Yeah,
That's
that was
fine.
fine.
You
That's
guys
cool.
That
you
is
did
fine.
great. You did great.
That's cool. Well, last thing. Well, almost last thing. What is some advice or something that you would share with someone who is just wanting to start music or just thinking of getting into music? It can be anything.
Yeah, there's so many things I could say, but I think if I was going to say like one important thing would be like you have to like give up the idea that everyone's going to be down for what you're doing. Like you have to let go of the idea that people are going to see your vision, because not everyone's going to see it, even if they're like the most supportive people. Like not everyone's going to see the vision you have, and I think sometimes you can try and get validation from people and be like, what do you think of this? Like, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I think that would be like my one advice, is to just stop looking for approval in other people, and just, if you have a vision, you have a vision, and do it. That's what I would say
That's great.
That's really good.
I like that
to
a lot.
mini me.
Yeah.
To mini me.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
And very, very last question. What are you working on? What's next for Tyla?
Ooh, so many songs.
So many songs.
Yeah, I have so many singles I want to release, so I think I'll probably have a new one out next month, maybe.
Exciting.
Yeah, which is really exciting. I think just working on new music, and then also in just like like finer details, is like getting a team. I think that's the really exciting thing that I look forward to, is along with my music, is just building a really good team behind me. But yeah, those music all the way.
Music all the way.
Yeah, exactly. Me music. Yep.
Catch you out here doing like meme compilation songs.
Yeah, I'm going to come up with some meme country songs.
Yes.
I want some yeehaw bangers.
I would pump them so hard.
Yes. Yes, even if it's just you, that's fine.
I'll take it.
It could be a flop, I don't care.
40,000 streams, all me.
Yeah. Please, just have it on loop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
done. Where
Exactly.
can people find you? If you want to, you can look in that camera or the middle one,
Yes.
whichever one you want.
Which one? I'll look
Just
in-
not that one.
Hi, God, no. Where can people find me? You can go on, I think I'm under the same thing for everything, but for Spotify and Apple Music, it's Tyla Jane. And then for my socials, TikTok and Instagram is the Tyla Jane. That's where you can find me.
That's TYLA.
Yeah, TYLAJANE.
Yeah. We have the same naming convention on Instagram and TikTok.
Are you
Oh,
there?
yeah.
I'm the Frank Menken on everything as well.
Yeah.
I used to be,
How good.
heck yes, I literally changed it the other day. It used to be Tyla Jane because Tyla Jane was taken.
Right.
So it used to be like Tyla,
That's why I did.
like triple E's.
Yeah.
Ah.
That's why I did the Frank Menken, because it
Yeah.
was Frank Menken was taken as well.
Yeah, and then you're like, what can I do that doesn't stuff up my username?
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's so good though,
I
right?
changed it to that and I was like, yeah, it's
It feels very official.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah, I'll get
I'm
I'll get a blue tick.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm verifying myself.
Yeah.
I don't need a blue tick.
I am the Tyler Jane.
Yeah,
You're just Joe
exactly.
Murray.
I'm just Joe Murray. Yeah. I think
two
the
Ys.
Joe Murray was not there.
Oh.
You
So
need
it's-
you need to get on that.
Yeah, I do.
You need to get on the
So
V.
it's Joe Murray, but instead of a U, it's another Y.
Join-
It's
We're gonna
Joe
change
Murray.
that.
Join the V
I should.
train.
Yeah.
The train.
The
Yeah.
train.
Be
It's a
trend.
self-conceited like
Yeah,
us.
this is a trend.
Exactly. We'll do it.
Speaking of trends, we have a trendition on our show.
Oh.
I was proud of that one.
good.
That was really
Pretty
good.
good. Okay.
We've come a long way from.
We have a tradition on our show where a guest gets to do the outro for the show. So basically how it works is I'll do the outro to the camera, and then we normally, when it's just Joe and I, we say bye, 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 and then we press the button.
Yeah.
How it's going to work is I'm going to do the outro, then we're going to go bye, bye, you're going to say bye, and then you get to hit the button. It's this pink one.
Okay.
Yeah?
This is so much pressure.
You just got to press the
Okay,
button.
that's fine.
That's it. You
The
can do
pink
it.
one.
Make sure it's the pink one.
Make sure it's a
Don't
pink
hear
one.
another one.
Bye and then the pink one?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you say the last bye.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? I'm going to do the thing.
All right.
You have to be ready.
Bye. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Thank you so much for listening to or watching this episode of The Froe Show. Thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us. We hope you've had a
Anytime.
great time and that we've gotten you to wherever you were going safely, and we will see you next week. Also, rate the show on Spotify.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Nailed it.
Yeah.
Well done. Absolutely crushed it.
First podcast.
Did you have fun?
Yes. That's so much fun. That's all like
I know, it goes
Yeah.
so fast. An hour and 2 minutes.
Wait, where's the timer?
There.
Oh, sorry. I was like, where? Whoa.
I know.
Holy moly, that felt like literally like 10 minutes.
Yes.